Over the years, I have given you many optical examples of the inverted pyramid of death. In logos, in times of mass murder related to the Horus matrix, in plain sight, in the streets, and secret hand signs given by politicians in which they announce their preference for a great reset on the slaves through mass killings like war and other. So now I'll explain you how our masters use the inverted pyramid in a psychological scheme to create mass hysteria among the slaves in order to effectuate and set in motion of the actual inverted pyramid of death. So listen carefully, because humanity has not much more time left. If Adolf would have told the German people that he wanted to destroy Germany, then the German people wouldn't have participated in the destruction of Germany. So he applied the inverted pyramid psychology by advocating the opposite of what his real aims were, by inverting the message by saying, "Let's make Germany great again," while globally showing it to each other through the inverted triangle of death, secret hand sign, what their real plans really are. This is the inverted pyramid psychological warfare. So the masters can mobilize millions of soldiers who work on the destruction of civilization. So Pharaoh can rebuild the real pyramid of total control over humanity. Through the psychology of the inverted pyramid, they invert their intentions and pose as a friend in order for the victims to lower their defenses so they can stab you in the back. The taqiyya also always uses this technique, as both taqiyya and Pharaoh's inverted pyramid of death are from the Middle East, where the refined deceptional warfare has been practiced for thousands of years, which has devastating effects on the minds of Europeans who have been weakened by the valors of Christianity, like "thou shalt not lie," "thou shalt not kill," etc. Thus, through that lethal weapon of religion, consequently making the dumb slaves believe that their masters cannot lie, thus massacring the dumb slaves by the millions by having the lie lead them into battle. To European ideas like honor and bravery on the battlefield, the psychology of the inverted pyramid uses exactly those very values magnifies them, infiltrates, and destroys them from the inside out. Because in reality, the masters themselves use only lies and deception, and want the dumb slaves to believe in honor and bravery. Like Adolf showing his good intentions first, to raise himself on a pedestal into the realm of magic religion. Just as Donny recreated himself as the divine savior of America and the entire world, while in reality, through the lies of the inverted pyramid psychology, he has psychologically unarmed white Americans, gunned down in the streets by Donny's personal ICE stormtroopers and uniformed assassins, with names like the alleged Raimundo Gutierrez and alleged Jesus Ochoa, who allegedly pumped 12 bullets into Alex Pretty, which by the very names sounds like the cartel assassinating white Americans. So here you can see it. This guy is Jesus Ochoa, Alex Pretty, the victim, and the other ICE agent assassin Raimundo Gutierrez. So it looks like here, it says here, shot by the cartel. You know? It's all inversed. This is the inversed pyramid, the inversed speech. It's all upside down. So as I've been telling you for 15 years, this here, the inversed pyramid or triangle, is what he's doing here. And it means at least two things. It means the inverse triangle of death, as the poor people in the Auschwitz concentration camp, like this, they had it on their breasts, meaning death. But it also means the psychological warfare of the inversed speech. And even religious people, they say the inversed speech, that is what the devil is using. So it's all inverse, because a normal pyramid is like going up. And this here is inversed. They invert it. It's going down here. And they all do it. Adolf was doing it. And so it means they're telling lies. So they're communicating with each other through these gestures they're doing. And the shooting is an example of the inversed pyramid psychological warfare, as it shows the exact opposite and inversed reality of Donny's reason for ICE to roam the streets and eliminate the dangerous cartels and make the streets safe again. Whereas the opposite is true, with Donny's masked gang making the streets unsafer, with hooded icemen, with cartel names like Raimundo Gutierrez and Jesus Ochoa, execute white Americans. This is Donny's inversed reality of the very deliberate technique of the inversed pyramid S.T.U.P.O. And I think these South Americans here, the assassins, are not even the real names of the assassins. Because pumping 12 bullets into a defenseless white American requires a lot of hatred and must be considered a hate crime. And it is not the Latin Americans who hate Americans that much to pump 12 bullets into a white American. No, it's the entire Muslim world who see America as the great Satan and who definitely hate America, and especially the white Americans, very much. As I've explained in my video Goldstein Made Philistine, I have no doubt that the masked Iceman who murdered the Americans in Minnesota with 12 bullets were in fact Muslims and no Latin Americans. Look at the ice boy here. You don't know what's underneath. There is no proof at all that it is Ochoa and Gutierrez. No way. And look, it's the same as these one here, the Pasdaran, who are mostly Arabs as well, ruling over the Iranian people since the 7th century. So, and these are killing people, and these also killing people. They look the same, so ergo, they are the same. It's a false flag. So here's the video on the same channel. Here's the title. I had to say Philistine here because of the censorship. And from November 17th, 2025, last year. So all of this is the psychology of the inverted pyramid. Just saying the opposite about what's going on. So they say, somebody just showed the image of these two South Americans, of the alleged Iceman killer in Minnesota, and everybody is spreading it, and because everybody is saying it and repeating it, the dumb slaves, everybody believes it. But no, it doesn't work like this. It's definitely a false flag attack. So they put the flag of the Latin Americans on it, which is false, because it's definitely not. There was no Gutierrez and no Ochoa. It's all inverted speech. It's all being inverted by Donnie. Look at it, it's all the same. And there's absolutely no proof. You need to know who put the names out in the internet anyway. Who did it? Nobody knows. The people on the streets, they don't know. The Americans, they don't know of any Gutierrez or Ochoa. No proofs. So who put it out? Well, the authorities. What authorities? You think the normal authorities know it? Who is underneath the mask here? No. Only Donnie and his pals. Only they know it, and the Iceman, the killers themselves, only they know it. Okay, well, you think they're gonna tell you the truth? Well, come on, wake up, use your brains. Also, can we see the pink swastika presumably repeating itself? With the ICE commandant Greg Bovino here in the middle, parading in front of his brown shirt stormtroopers, as if it were an SS Hugo Boss fashion show, trying to impress his men in a clean, ironed, perfumed, aftershaved masculinity that smells like this, which for censorship reasons I cannot pronounce, and I'll let you pronounce it yourselves. So here it says, you can pronounce it yourselves because it's the agenda and we cannot talk against the agenda. So it all smells like this, look at their hair and look at all, it's too clean, it's too ironed, perfumed, aftershaved, just like these here, it's all repeating itself. History is repeating itself. I mean, open your eyes, look at it. Hugo Boss was Adolf's Nazi uniform maker for the pink swastika. And history is repeating itself, as always. So here it says Hugo Boss, fashion. So and here, about this guy here, same uniforms and the same atmosphere. It smells the same pink swastika. It says here the Ice Commandant, Greg Bovino. And he also has an alias, which is this here, which I'm not going to pronounce because of the censorship. So the Ice Commandant has the same Hugo Boss Gestapo long coat, the same S.A. brown shirt with the same diagonal leather strap, probably quickly detachable so they can whip each other in the night when no one is looking, just as in the old days, with the pinkless killer head of the Nazi stormtroopers by the name of Ernst Röhm, in very much the same clothing outfit as today, with this guy here to the right, whose alias name I don't want to pronounce. So it's the same, only here it says SA, and on the other side it says US stormtroopers. Here you got the SA stormtroopers and here the US stormtroopers. And look at it, the same leather strap here, the same brownish sort of, or this green brownish uniform. This was brown, the brown shirts they were called. And we call them stormtroopers because SA, it means Sturmabteilung. It means storm, it means storm, and Abteilung, it means detachment. So, and officially he was a pinkless killer. He made no secret of it either. Ernst Röhm. And he got these scars in his face, for fencing. That looks really masculine. They call him the Burschenschaften. It's a sort of a Freemore Sinners lodges mostly for students. It was very popular, like in the 20s and the 30s. Like mixing it all, like university, pinkless killers, nice uniforms, fencing, nobility, the whole thing mixing. So this is why he got this here. He probably made it himself in the mirror, These guys love mirrors. It's all about mirrors. You can see this guy too. And here it says Mr. Greg Ice Bovino, the US stormtroopers, and here's his alias. Same leather strip, the same, even this here, the metal thing here is here. Same uniforms, it's the same conspiracy, it's the same conspiracy. And they told everyone, well, it's the Jaywalker conspiracy, while they were in fact and still are conspiring against the people. And look at these uniforms, it's too clean, Too much attention on clothes for this super male look in clean ironed uniforms, like watching the mating season for pinkless killers to impress the other males, for whom a clean ironed uniform is the most sexy thing there is, integrating the sexual hierarchy of shall I dominate you or are you gonna dominate me? The show must go on, eh, Donny? Like a huge uniformed pink list killer fashion show. Smelling good, looking good, seducing each other in this horror show of pure evil. I told you in many of my videos how in the Nazi era many key positions were occupied by pink list killers, and I gave you the names in all transparency. And I gave you the names of those of today's pink list killers leading the 21st century neo-Nazi parties. History is repeating itself, with pink list killer brown shirts roaming today's streets once more and again, gunning down innocent civilians under a nice smell of perfectly ironed uniforms with seducing fashion hair creams in utter contrast with their violent talk and appeal for violence on national TV. They want to smell good. To me, though, it doesn't smell good at all. It smells fishy, and it smells the perfumed boys' conspiracy all over again. The agenda of our masters is still the same, mixing all peoples up with foreign sounding names like Raimundo Gutierrez and Jesus Ochoa, gunning down white Americans in Minnesota 2026. Like Donny nominating Scott Besson for Treasury Minister, and who's a pink list killer, a billionaire, worked together with George Soros and got appointed by Donny on January 28th, 2025. While barely a week before, Donny lied to you all by signing the Executive Order 14168 on January 20th, 2025, establishing the biblical man-woman only identity only within the US Constitution, and directly followed up a week later by appointing a pink list killer into his cabinet. So here you see Donny writing one executive order after the other, and here it says Scott Bessent, is a French name actually, and he is the finance minister. He's the guy behind the import taxes and all that. And this is Executive Order 14168, saying there's only man and woman, while in fact here Donny, on his executive order, he actually wrote down Adam and Steve. So you can see Adam and Eve are they are afraid of something. They're hiding. I mean, look at their faces. They're hiding behind a tree, you know. Why are they hiding? Well, all the Adam and Eves in America and in the world, they are in danger. And Adam and Eve here, they are hiding. They are very much afraid because they know that the great deceiver is here. And he is lying. It's only about lies. Well, this is, in fact, the inverted pyramid psychology, saying one thing and doing the opposite. And there is, in fact, no better example for the inversed speech and the inversed pyramid of the deception than Executive Order 14168, as I've just shown you before. Look, here is Executive Order 14168. And it says here, restoring biological truth. Well, the biological truth, there's only one biological truth, and that says Adam and Eve, and not Adam and Steve. You know, so it says here, you know. And look at the date here. Here, January 20th, 2025. So remember that well. And I'll show you afterwards what he did like a week later. Well, I'm not going to read everything, you know. You can look it up yourself here. Maybe I see something, I don't know. The best is not to dive too deep in all this, you know. What I just read to you, you know, restore the biological truth. I mean, that's enough. It says it all. Right? Obviously, what is this here? Or you can look it up yourself. I mean, how can they write so many pages about just a simple thing like Adam and Eve? I don't get it. You know? So, well, you can look it up yourself. So it's about this here. And he brought it like, you know, like he was a saint, you know, on January 20th, 2025, saying God, 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 every sentence, you know. And maybe you noticed, you know, ever since the thing in the JJ base with the Hamas, you know, he always takes the word of God, you know, when he's in the Middle East and when these sort of things. Otherwise, you know, he hasn't been using the name of God ever since, you know. Maybe you noticed, you know. He uses the name of God, you know, for a business proposal. Like doing business, you know, I want something. I want you to vote for me, or I want you to help me, like in the Middle East, and endorse me and my ideas and making peace everywhere, which he doesn't. So here it says, so Executive Order 14168, it is about restoring the biological truth. So you saw that? And look what he really did. So here it says Scott Besson, and you know, barely a week later, Donny appointed him. So here I read it for you. He's the first openly person. What picture does it give? No picture. To lead the U.S. Treasury Department. So he's the finance minister. The first openly pink list killer U.S. Senate confirmed cabinet member in a Republican administration, and the second openly U.S. Well, you saw that? And when did it happen? Look at that. When did that happen? Look at that. January 28th. And the executive order was about restoring the biological truth. Happened on January 20th. A week later, he's just deceiving you. He's the great deceiver, Donnie is, A week later, he's doing this. He just lured you into it with his, saintly smile, on his inauguration. And all the U.S. Bible bangers think, oh, he's our man. He's the divine savior of America, Oh, man. Look at this here. Personal life. And maybe there's a lot of more interesting things, but I'm not going to read it all, Here, I'll read this here in blue. Besson, he is a member of the Huguenot Church. I didn't know Huguenots were doing these sort of things, A religious association whose expansion his ancestors supported, that's why the French name, in 1680. That was during the 30-Year War from 1618 to 1648. He married, I don't even want to pronounce all this, He married this here. You see, it's a man. So apparently they can get married in America. I didn't know that. Did you know that, guys in the Bible Belt, did you know that? That it's possible? And the guy is a former New York City prosecutor. They have 2 children born through surrogacy. And Besson reportedly has a close friendship with King Charles III. Oh, look at that. This is the elite. Donnie is the elite, and he's just appointing the elite, He was also friends with Donald Trump's brother, Robert. Oh, that's Robert. Also a businessman, investor, and whose ex-wife, Blaine Trump, is the godmother of Besson's daughter. It's one family. We're being ruled by one family. It's all about nepotism. So he's the guy is basically family of Donnie, just like the other one, the jaywalker one, who's married to one of Donnie's daughters, and who is, of course, not just a normal jaywalker, but he's of the jaywalker nobility. We really have to differentiate between the nobility and the normal people. Very important. So this is the system of the Père A, where the word Pharaoh is coming from. Père, it means the house, and A, it means big. It's the big royal house of Pharaoh who became the nobility. It's one family. So the Père A, it means the big global family of pharaohs. Oh, we can see it happening. Mr. Pinklist killer, Mr. Besson, he's family. It's the Père A. And they're all doing the inverse speech of the inverted pyramid, the triangle of death. Ultimately, it leads to the triangle of death. That means your death, and of Adam and Eve, who are not for the moment, because they're still hiding in the forest, as we could just see. So here, read this here in black about Scott Besson. After holding a series of financial positions, he was hired by Soros Fund Management in 1991. George Soros. Donnie is always, swearing at Soros. Eventually becoming the head of its London office, of the Soros London office, While serving in the role in September 1992, he was a leading member of the SFM, S is probably Soros group, which profited by 1 billion on Black Wednesday, the British pound sterling crisis. In 2013, he made SFM another 1.2 billion by getting against the Japanese yen. After leaving the Soros Fund in 2015, Besson established G.I.U.R.E.H Group, a hedge fund. So, how is this possible when Donny is always swearing on Soros and, why is he doing this? And at the same time, he's hiring as his finance minister, Scott Besson, as his finance minister. Why is Donny doing this? I mean, this is a contradiction. I mean, this is a lie, So why is he doing this? Well, because Donny, they are surveying us and looking in the internet. How can they survey us and know what the people are thinking? Well, they just look into the internet and they see the people with very good theories and conspiracy theories against George Soros, especially from the right-wing movements and the Christian fundamentalists in America. So then what does Donny do? He does the inverted pyramid. He's just pretending he's one of you and says, oh yeah, me too, I'm against George Soros. So then at the same time, immediately the people, they lower their defenses. And then Donny can stab you in the back, like by hiring a Soros, a man who worked for Soros and probably still is a good friend of Soros. This is also a perfect example of the inverse pyramid. They say one thing and they do the other. So they just look into the internet, like Donny, and they got the cyber agents working for them, and they look into the internet and they say, okay, the people, they got this problem. Okay, then I'll pretend, to help the people, and eventually they don't do anything. They're just gaining time all the time through all this, and the people are losing time. And we're all nearing the end of times and our destiny. They're just trying to win time. So no wonder Adam and Eve are hiding in the forest. And this is another proof, another example how Donny is the great deceiver. He's deceiving us all the time, every time. And look, it says, Besson was a partner at Soros Fund Management. And it says, Soros Fund Management, that's the SFM, is a privately held American investment management firm founded in 1970 as a hedge fund by George Soros. It is currently structured as a family office. So they are probably also related, Besson, Trump, and Soros. It's all one big family, And here it says Besson was a partner. That means he was not just working for Soros Fund. No, he was a partner. He was Soros Fund himself, Besson. He was part of it. We're being ruled by one big family. And how was it again? The American comic said, and you're just not one of them, or something like that. So here he is, George Carlin, here again. And here you see them playing golf all together. One big club. Here's Donny, here's Clinton, here's Giuliani. I don't know who that is. So this is what he said. Here's Donny again, here's Clinton again. So this is what he said here as well. And I'm going to try and say it in the original accent. Let's honor the guy. Let's homie Ross do it in the original accent. So I'm going to show you also how do you do the American accent? Or you just take your fingers and squeeze your nose, like this, or you take a wash bag and put it on it. And then, you get automatically the American accent. So here we go. So here's George Carlin, and he said it's one big club, and then you ain't in it. Here again, it's a big club, and you ain't in it. George Carlin. So here we see Giuliani, here's Donnie, here's Bill Clinton. Well, honestly, I think it should need an executive order against that accent because it's penetrating my head real hard. So here it says Vice Vance, the US Vice President, and he has a gender bender friend. I don't know what it is, a man or a woman, so I call it an it, by the name of Sophia Nelson. Here you see the inversed pyramid. That's what it's all about. So it says the executive order 14168 is a joke. So US Vice President Vance even has a long-time gender bender friend by its new name, Sophia Nelson, who was even at Vance's wedding. So let it be clear that the pink list killer agenda is still on, with this Hugo Boss fashion show gunning down Americans in the streets of America. And this is the inversed pyramid psychology, in which Donnie and Vance are true masters, making you believe your own downfall and even making you work hard for it, hammering the nails of your own coffin, driving in the nails of your children's coffins yourselves. So here it says the inversed pyramid of death. Just like in the Auschwitz concentration camp, this is for political prisoners in red. This is what Homie Ross would have had. And Homie Ross did, in fact, forced labor in Swaziland. He was forced to do that on the land. And in the Witzwil prison, it's again the name Witz in it, like in the concentration camp, which I can't pronounce for reasons of censorship. And this is what Donnie is doing all the time here. And it's also like, why do they do it? It's like saying to all those in the club, it means don't listen to what I'm saying, because I do the opposite. I'm meaning the opposite, the inversed pyramid, the inverse triangle of death. And here are the different, sort of classes of people going in there. There were religious people, they had, I don't know, green or something, or no, purple. So this is what they do, they say one thing and they do the other, just like Executive Order 14168, which is a joke. So they say, oh yeah, and he's saying God, God, God all the time at his inauguration day, January 20th, 2025, and saying there's only man, there's only women, and then he's doing this sign. So that means all who are in the conspiracy, they see the sign and they say, well, it's all inversed. Donnie is inverting what he's saying. That's why they give this sign. It's the triangle of death, and it's leading towards it. Part of the master's pink list killer agenda is by repetition, making us used to it, like showing it in each Netflix series. Donny appointing a pink list killer as finance minister, or this year, 2026, in the Flatlands on February 23rd, 2026, a pink list killer prime minister taking office, ruling over an entire country, together with his, or what the media calls, the first gentleman. An expression I never heard before. So here you see that, Netflix with all these colors here, rainbow stuff. Here you see the king of the flatlands. Here you see the red carpet standing for the red house of Pharaoh. You see here is no more the normal stairs, and here of the palace in stone. So I just took a part of the picture. I don't want to have it all in it. And here's the red carpet. And here is the new prime minister. Oh, look how he's smiling. And I suppose this is the first gentleman. You know, just like in America, they talk about the first lady. Well, they got the first gentleman. For me, their social engineering technique of a customization is fully counterproductive. That's why I said it here. In the colors of Netflix, it says here, counterproductive. You know, it means it's not productive, it's countering the productivity of their agenda. And the more they shove it down our throats, the more it consolidates my total resistance against the whole shebang. Interestingly, the word shebang consists of the word she and bang, which seems to be quite appropriate here, I'd say, and bring back a bit of balance into the matter. Bang the she, eh? So for you who are not English speakers, in English slang, a shebang, the definition, it means a matter or an operation or set of circumstances. And it consists of the words she and bang. Bang the she for the balance in the whole pink list killer matter, I'd say. So very soon we'll see the video footage of US pink list finance minister shaking hands with that first gentleman, together with Uncle Donny blessing it all in the background, and do another one of his bogus executive orders on it, while the Iranians have their own executive order 14168 and just hang them alphabetically. First Adam and then Steve. So here in this picture it says Donny English. It means it's a new type of English. It's called the Donny English, with past participles like hung. And here it says this happened in America on several occasions. This one is a different one than this one here. You see American flag everywhere, so these are real American patriots, and they call him a spy and a traitor. And it says here, just grab him by the your president, and here's a piggy. So if you thought Donny was so intelligent, then listen to this here.
I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I saw 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way. but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday.
Earlier today, Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social calling for Democratic members of Congress to be hanged. He also posted a message that said, seditious behavior, punishable by death.
No, Donny, in English, you don't say hung. You might say, though, that you had hung your US flag POTUS undies. In fact, the anagram for POTUS is S.T.U.P.O. So I'll call you S.T.U.P.O from now on, until you learn some basic kindergarten English. And that hung is for things, but for people it's hanged. Got it, S.T.U.P.O? Or do you prefer Donny S.T.U.P.O? Donny first name, S.T.U.P.O last name, the surname S.T.U.P.O. So for those here who are not Americans, well, you probably saw it in the movies, they show it all over. POTUS, the word POTUS, this is POTUS, or supposed to be. POTUS is an abbreviation for President of the United States. And an anagram, like here, it means you put the letters in a different order, and then you put the S like here, you get S, and then the T here, and the U goes here, the P goes here, and the O goes here, and you get S.T.U.P.O. So here it says, the anagram for POTUS is S.T.U.P.O. So I call him Donny S.T.U.P.O from now on. I mean, look at him, look at him. Can't even speak proper English with his hung. He even repeats it very loud in the airplane. Hung, hung, like a Neanderthal or something. Dear Donny S.T.U.P.O, hung is like when your pedophile pal, Mr. Bedstein, told you that he had hung the 12-year-old child's underwear on the chair near the rape bed. So here it says, Mr. Bedstein. So from now on, I call him like this, because of the censorship and the AI control and all that. I don't want to use his name anymore, but I think this is a far better name for the bloke. Here he is, Mr. Bedstein. But imagine in a near future, your ICE stormtroopers in one of your ICE concentration camps, hanging some American civilians by the neck. In proper English, you say they were hanged and not hung, mate. So, Donny S.T.U.P.O, the past participle for hanging a person is hanged, whereas hanging up your big undies on the wash line, it's hung, mate. So, it says here in the AI, the French AI, fortunately enough it says here in English, so the difference between hanged and hung depends on whether you're referring to a death by execution or simply suspending an object. Hanged, past tense, past participle, used specifically when referring to a person being suspended by the neck until dead. So that's hanged. So the Iranians, they were hanged. Right, Donny? An example, the prisoner was hanged at dawn, and hung is the past tense, past participle used for all other meanings, including suspending objects like clothes, pictures, curtains, or suspending a person without killing them. Example, she hung the stockings by the chimney with care. And furthermore, the summary table. An execution here is hanged. The traitor was hanged. Object hung. They hung the decorations, and in a phrasal verb, hung out. We hung out together. So you were hanging out. You had hung out together with Mr. Bedstein. So maybe you can remember it like this. And if a person is suspended in a non-lethal way by bungee jumping or in a harness, hung is generally used, except when the person dies, of course, while bungee jumping, I suppose. And so maybe some of the surveillance here, or the AI, or the government surveillance, well, you can tell your master maybe the CIA are watching me, or the FBI. You can tell this to your master, maybe he'd like it, so next time he won't make this terrible mistake. I mean, a president making a mistake like this, I mean, it's incredible, really. So, hey, Donnie S.T.U.P.O. So here it says hung or hanged, which is the question Donnie is asking himself constantly. And here you see the type of road signs you see in America. So the Mexicans are quite happy to know when in the near future, when you, Donnie S.T.U.P.O, sign your notorious executive order to hang all Mexicans, they'll have nothing to fear from you, as they would just be hung and not hanged. Like a wetback hung on a wash line after having crossed the Rio Grande. Maybe that anecdote will help you remember, Donnie, that Iranian protesters had been hanged and that a Mexican wetback had been hung on a Texan washing line. So here you see the Mexican hat on a cactus, here the wash line, here the wetback hanging. You see it's all blue, the water, the wetback. Here it says hung or hanged. So maybe anyone can show these pictures to Donnie S.T.U.P.O. So he'll remember by an anecdote, just like in kindergarten class. They do that as well. It's quite funny though, if you realize that in Australia they've got kangaroo road signs. In Sweden they've got elk road signs. But in America they've got Mexican road signs. Oh, and while talking about Mexicans, this guy here from Venezuela, about no one talks about anymore, Mr. Maduro also does the inverted pyramid hand sign. And he has this red Kabbalah bracelet. So he definitely belongs to Pharaoh's global club. And we can only speculate what is going on between the two inverted triangle of death club members, Trump and Maduro. You see, well, this is known. Trump is always doing this, the inverted pyramid of death or triangle of death, going downwards even here. Maduro is doing exactly the same. I mean, all these politicians, they all do the same. They all belong to the same club, and it has a meaning. As I told you before, it means about anything I'm telling you, the opposite is true. And this is the message they give to each other and their children and their offspring globally. So they don't believe all the lies they're telling the dumb slaves, So it means I'm telling you the inverse speech of what's really going on. So that means this guy is probably not even in prison, you know. He just retired, you know, he prefers dancing. Well, actually, they're both dancers. He's a dancer, he's a dancer. And I wonder, well, he has got an American flag, so to say. I wonder what he's having here on his chest. They always give out signs, you know. Yeah, once more, because it went a bit quick just before. Here it says President Maduro, so the former president or still the president of Venezuela, doing the inverted pyramid of death here. And here he's got a Kabbalah bracelet around his wrist in orange, sort of red. And it's a sort of a religion, like Madonna, the singer, she's part of it. And I don't know what it really means. I don't want to go too deep in it. Anyway, it's secret anyway, so you won't really find something about it. But it's quite funny that they all have it, you know. Why? Just like this Tucker Carlson guy, which I showed you in a video before when he was talking to Putin. Nobody noticed it, but it's so obvious. I mean, on the naked skin here, you know, it's even wrapped it down here, you know, shove it down his clothes here, so everybody can see it. I mean, what is this? Anyway, Kabbalah, Ka, it's a soul for the still alive of Pharaoh. The soul, and Ba is the everlasting soul, which you take when you die, and Ka is the living soul, like the Japanese ki. It's the life energy, more like Kaba. And if you put Allah behind it, you get Kabbalah. So it's all Middle Eastern stuff anyway. This is Middle Eastern stuff, Kaaba, the Kaaba of Allah, and then they got this in Mecca. They got this stone there. It's called the Kaaba. You know, you go over. It's just on. It's all together there, and where the Kaaba is, Allah is also. Then you get Kabbalah. So it's not from the jaywalkers, it's more from their nobility. And the jaywalker nobility, they're definitely together with the Arab nobility. And this is also from the Middle East. It's the inverse pyramid. We're being ruled by pharaohs. Why don't you finally wake up all together and do something about it? So it says Venezuela's new president. And look at the hands here and here. The coup d'etat was US made, and Donny's America seemed to be satisfied with the US replacement of Maduro, because we hear nothing about it anymore, which is very suspicious. Even more, that Venezuela's actual president's nickname is the Tsarina, indicating strong ties to Putin. It is very obvious that S.T.U.P.O made a deal with Mad Vlad. I'll give you Venezuela and your Tsarina set in place if you give me Iran. Tsarina Delcy Rodriguez was already involved in the Delcy Gate and doing the inverted pyramid and triangle of death all the time. Yeah, look at it here. Here's a name, Delcy Rodriguez. You probably hear it for the first time because you never heard of this before. Right? They don't talk about it anymore, which is highly suspicious. And her nickname is the Tsarina, which makes it even more suspicious, you know. Okay, you can read some things about it. I didn't read anything. I just, you know, they hide everything anyway. But this is interesting. She was the head of the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service, the CIA of Venezuela. This is why now they want to cooperate with the CIA. It says somewhere in it. And yeah, this is interesting as well. Here, look. Her partner, They call her partner a domestic. He's the domestic of the Tsarina. His name is Yusuf Abu Nassif Smaili. Would be interesting to find out who that is, but you can do it yourself, you know. Standing with John Kerry, oh, no good. And she was the vice president. And they all knew if Maduro, if he falls, then she will become the president. And that's what happened, you know. S.T.U.P.O just made a deal with Putin, you know. And we don't hear anything about it anymore. I saw some here, look. On January 16, Rodriguez met with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. She was the CIA in Venezuela and probably still is. So, you know, they want to act against drug traffickers. Well, they are the drug traffickers. There's so many proofs about the CIA doing drugs, you know, the Iron Gate and the Oliver North and the pineapple colonel of Panama, whatever his name was. And here, look, she was already involved in corruption, the Delcy Gate. I'll let you read it yourself. And personal life. And Rodriguez is a follower of the Indian guru Satya Sai Baba. Oh, that looks sweet, you know. They all do these sort of things, looking sweet and innocent, you know. Like playing golf, and Putin, like riding a horse, and she's doing this, you know. It's all PR, public relations stuff, you know. And here is another picture of the Tsarina, here with the hands doing the inverted pyramid triangle of death. And now I will explain you something about how they inversed the entire European civilization and the entire European culture of the white tribes. They inversed everything. And this is what they mean with it, you know, partly. They also inverse things, you know, it means death. So they killed the real European culture. I'm going to explain that to you. And because the Europeans, they were living like Indians, you know, they didn't even have horses, you know. No stone houses, living in huts with a spear, you know. They inversed the European culture and also genocided the white tribes as they genocide everything. You know, it's the inversed triangle of death. So I'll explain you now. It's coming up, how they inversed the European culture of the white man. I have problems making short videos, as you must have noticed. But 6 years ago, I made this short resume explaining how the white man was living in huts, as you can see here, in huts and tents, like Indians or African tribes. They couldn't read nor write, walked around in bearskins with a spear, trying to survive under harsh conditions, until these pharaohs came, who were the first in Europe to build in stone with their castles and Roman fortresses, and kept the white race, the white man, 1,000 years as slaves in a feudal system. These pharaonic Romans and later feudal pharaonic nobility genocided the white tribes, completely destroyed white man's culture and replaced the white man's religion with Pharaoh's Middle Eastern religion called Christianity, for which their priests of Amun tortured the Europeans and burned their sacred women alive at the stakes. So it would be best to watch this 15 minutes resume here as an introduction to what I'm going to explain on how Pharaoh inverted white man's culture and entirely destroyed it. So here you can see these huts. It's in the film. It's on the same channel. So here you get this again, the AI, the censorship, which I'm trying to avoid, like by not saying this word anymore. I mean, what else can I do, So here's the title, and it's on the same channel. And I made it 6 years ago in October 2020 on a request, actually. So you see there are a lot of comments. You can put your comment there as well. And this is about the inversed speech and the inversed hand signs of the triangle of death, as all these politicians are doing, and in combination and in relation to how they destroy cultures through this secrecy, and as they did with the white man's culture, as well as all the other cultures, of course. It was a certain image by Pharaoh's nobility that caught my attention when I looked a bit further into that first gentleman stuff of the flatlands that I had picked up in the French news, which led to this octagon picture of the king of the flatlands together with the actual NATO Secretary General, Mr. Rutte. So I'll explain you the picture because it's quite complex, actually, what you see here. I'm even surprised myself. I got taught about these things when I was a child back in the SA, and but this is very complex. So here you see the king of the flatlands, and here's the Secretary General of NATO, Mr. Rutte. Okay, there we go. Now, I've showed you a lot of these things, with always the inner circle, and here's even an inner circle within the inner circle, and they are protected by the octagon. That's why mostly army badges, police badges are all octagonal. They're just there not to protect the people, but to protect these guys here, the inner circle. And of course, Mr. Rutte, he's also a pharaoh. Pharaohs usually, they are very thin, long hands. Well, I mean, look at them, Europeans, they are stronger, These guys, they were brought up like a river Nile, they didn't have to work very much, and etc. So normally the inner circle is protected by the octagon from the squares, and the squares stand for the people, which is the base of a pyramid, which is a square. But this, I've never seen this before, actually. We all recognize this symbol here, which is the seal of Solomon, King Solomon. So it's not the jaywalkers. The jaywalkers, they think it's them, but it's not. It only means that they are a slave of King Solomon and the descendants of King Solomon and King David, all these pharaohs. So this stands actually for the jaywalker nobility only. And why does the inner circle of these pharaohs need to be protected from the jaywalker nobility, because when the jaywalkers came, they were chased by the Romans, first the people, and then when the people, the jaywalker nobility, they didn't have any more jaywalker people back in the Middle East to work for them. So nobility, pharaohs, nobility, they never worked themselves. So they ran after their slaves, after their people, until they came into Europe. And of course, they gave all the proofs that they are far away pharaonic cousins of the same pharaonic nobility as these ones here. The per-a, the big pharaonic house, it means. Per, it means the house, and a, it means big. They're all over the world. So they could prove that, but the local nobility, these ones here, and in Germany and all that, and in France, they said all the land was already divided amongst the local nobility, and they didn't give them any land. So this is why these ones here, the jaywalker nobility, and they went into the financing business because they didn't have any land, and land was the only capital in those days, like in the Middle Ages and all that. And finally, there was the Industrial Revolution. They got rich, very rich, could buy themselves castles, and let their jaywalker slaves work for them, for the jaywalker nobility, of course. And as these ones here, the vertical rule in those days, they were already very much consolidated, had land and all this. The jaywalker nobility, like here the Seal of Solomon, they also wanted the revolution, of course, and the horizontal rule. That was the only way through which they could also have a little bit of power and like rule together. Because these ones, the vertical rule, they ruled only like one man. And the jaywalker nobility, these ones here, they wanted to also to rule. And the only way to do this was by a vertical rule, a horizontal rule, a democracy, and a republic, where a lot of these pharaohs, thousands of them per country, they all worked together, so they could, squeeze in and work together. And that's why these ones got very angry and finally led to the final solution, all this. So this is why the inner circle, it's red here, which is the red house of Pharaoh, which is Lower Egypt in the north, where the real pyramids are. And here it's white, like the White House. So this is the NWO, and this is the OWO. This is like the White House. There was in Upper Egypt in the south. So they are nowadays around, because it's a constitutional monarchy. White is the constitution, it's the republic, and red here is the real monarchy. And inside there's even an inner circle, as you can see that. So these are also circles. So this is the lower nobility, the princes, because this is white is the principality. And they all needed to be defended because they wanted to have more power from these ones here. And here we see the fleur de lis, with this thing sticking out in the middle and two things here and here, which is also the symbol of the OWO, the vertical rule of Pharaoh's nobility. And so now this is what I wanted to tell you, which is important. So in this case, this one here stands for the Europeans. So the Europeans, in this case, more the religion of the original religion, or the original, let's say, civilization, the original culture of the Europeans, and I'll explain that to you. So they put them together with these ones here, the Europeans and the jaywalker nobility, and considered the entire jaywalker people, for those who can't differentiate and don't know the real history of all things. So here I made the image a bit bigger. So it's about this symbol here, This is an ancient European symbol. It's Saxon, actually. Some of you already know what it is. So there are 8 of them here. So these ones here, they need to be protected from these ones here. And this is what I'm going to explain to you now, and that they inversed the European culture, really. It's quite complex, so be careful that you give it all your attention here, because this is really crucial, if you know what I mean. So everything is there. It's really enormously complex, this here. And they're just standing on it with their feet. It's amazing, huh? There's probably a lot more to see here. Yes, this is sort of the sun hieroglyph with 1 in the middle and 2 on each side. Here it's vertical. Normally this one is longer and the inner one is smaller, but why not like this? It's actually Horus, the wings of Horus. Just like the religion, the Middle Eastern religion they forced upon the Europeans, it's also about Horus, of course. It's all pharaonic, So red and white, everything is here, okay? So I'll continue. Watch this and listen carefully. This is very important. So here you see this part here on the carpet, of which they are so afraid, the octagon has to defend the inner circle from these ones here and also from these ones here. This one is even bigger, you see, and there are 8 of them. You all see that it is exactly these things here. They are Saxon and Germanic. It's the tree of life. And people call it Irminsul if you want to look it up, but the real name is Ormunsul, which I will explain to you now. So the image on Pharaoh's carpet in the flatlands and their abominations shows the image of the ancient Germanic belief system of protecting Mother Earth, whom they called Middelgard in ancient Saxon. Just like the Indians had and still have a very similar belief system, as all nature tribes did, and some still do. These sacred pillars you see here are called Saxon Irminsul, but its real name is Ormunsul. Sul is like the present-day German Säule, meaning a pillar. And Orm is the old Germanic word for a snake or dragon. Just as in English, when you put a W in front of Orm, you get worm, which is like a snake. Therefore, the name of the sacred pillar of which the pharaohs and their carpets are so afraid of is Ormunsul and not Irminsul. And Orm, for worm or snake, is the Germanic world snake or Middelgard Orm, the Midgard snake, around Mother Earth's Midgard to protect the universe, to protect like from the abominations of the flatlands and its very revealing carpet, expressing Pharaoh's inner fears of the white tribes rising up again. Therefore, 1200 years ago, Pharaonic Emperor Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, in the year 772, waged an extremely brutal 32-year war and genocide against the Saxons and their Ormunsul belief system in order to annihilate the last resisting white man's tribes, just as the masters did with the Indians 1,000 years later. This was the end of white man's freedom, who from there on had to work for Pharaoh's nobility, wage wars for them, and even help Pharaoh to annihilate other free peoples. It was a pharaonic reset of the white man called the Horus Matrix, in which all Saxon fathers were genocided by Pharaoh Charlemagne's huge army, and then their sons, as small children, got raised by Pharaoh as perfect, obedient warriors, not knowing anymore what they were doing. Therefore, Pharaoh reverted this very dangerous Ormunsul symbol into Pharaoh's symbol for injustice, as you can see here. So you see, this is Lady Injustice, and you see it's the Ormunsul, this thing here, it's upside down. This is the inverse speech thing, and the thing Donnie is doing all the time with the upside down triangle of death and the upside down pyramid. This is exactly what it is. You know, they invert everything. This here is exactly this. You know, it's upside down, as Ormunsul meant justice and protection. When reversed upside down, the upside down version means injustice, the opposite, as it is reversed and upside down. It's all in the realm of magic, you know, like this, it means justice. Turn it upside down, it means injustice. And look at it, it's like it's a machine, you know. What are they? Extraterrestrials or metallic Luciferian sort of stuff, you know. It's not a coincidence they do this. It's no coincidence. They reverse everything. Like the whole situation today. What is normal is forbidden, and what is not normal is allowed or even compulsory. And we all know there is no justice in the Western world, and there is no human rights either. It's all a joke with their reversed speech and reversed pyramid of the triangle of death. It's time to revive Ormunsul, get back what is ours, and reinstall real justice in Pharaoh's world of abomination. In their pharaonic carpet, they show us, represented by the Germanic Ormunsul, as a coronavirus, a crown virus, as a grave danger to the crown, endangering Pharaoh's crown. Well, so be it then. Good to know. So here in this picture you see Ormunsul. They turn it upside down here, and it became the statue of injustice. And this is the triangle of death, the inverse pyramid technique. I mean, why do you think these sort of pictures exist at all? Because these pharaohs believe in this. They know what it is. You don't make a picture just like this, you know, just out of fun. These are the initiated ones who make it, you know, these things, like all these sort of artworks, you know, on a roundabout and everywhere. So this is another example of Pharaoh's inversed pyramid technique, where they have taken religious symbols of the conquered and destroyed white man's indigenous tribes and turned them into systems of oppression as their injustice monument, representing, in fact, the pharaonic goddess Ma'at. So the invaders replaced indigenous values with their own, and through terror forced the northern European tribes to believe in Horus and his mother Isis. This is Pharaoh's technique of the inverted pyramid and triangle of death, destroying all cultures and all indigenous tribes in creating one world pharaonic religion for a totally mixed up humanity. So here I added this picture. It's in copper and it's somewhere in a church in Germany. And you see here the Ormunsul, from the word orm, like worm, a worm. And here you see, it says here, Karl der Große, Karl the Great. There he is. So Karl, in the year 772, here they came, and this is some sort of a saint here. So Karl the Great, he came, destroyed the culture and their belief system and replaced it with the Horus religion here, with the sun behind it, as Horus is the eye of the sun. And so they completely destroyed the white man, who were just tribes like the Indians and like African tribes, and they even made them work for Pharaoh. So white man is the most terrorized race and the most enslaved race in the entire history and the entire world, who have been enslaved for about 2,000 years now. They have no more roots. It's and this is, first of all, Karl the Great, he was in nowadays France, the Franks. And they were already defeated, the Franks, by the Romans. They did a terrible genocide on the Celts, les Gaulois, and murdered everyone, women, children, everyone. So this is why what was left of it, they did the Horus Matrix, killed all the fathers, and they raised the kids, as their own, which is a well-known fact that the Romans were doing these sort of things. And then they had the sons of the Franks, no more fathers. They could completely shape them again and made warriors out of them and destroy the next cultures using the sons of the Franks, the sons of their dead fathers. And they destroyed, the last white man's tribes, more in the north and more to the east. They were the Germanic tribes. And they did the same here, again, the Horus Matrix, and so on and so forth. And killed the fathers again, kept the sons, just as the Nazis did, put all these little kids, in the Hitler Youth, and all the fathers were dead after the First World War, and they could raise them from scratch again. This is the Horus Matrix. So they can use them and destroy other cultures, as we can see it happening now in Iran. Same thing over and over again, until it's just one world Horus religion, Isis religion with Ma'at. This was justice, respect and the respect of nature and Mother Earth. And they turn it around, as some people say, the evil one, the great deceiver or Satan. He uses reverse speech. Well, this is the reverse thing, and they made out of a statue of respect and justice and honor Mother Earth. They turn it around and they make this out of it. And this is Ma'at, the pharaonic goddess. It basically is the statue of injustice. I mean, me, homie Ross, I've been terrorized for 30 years, and they make it big on a pedestal, as you can see here. Yeah, the West, it's all about justice. No, forget about it. So here it says Executive Order 14147 of January 20th. As Donnie practices the inversed pyramid psychology and the hand sign of the inversed pyramid, it is best to take the opposite from what he says. As the very first Executive Order 14147 on his first day in office, saying, ending the weaponization of the federal government, about which we can all see the opposite happening, with heavily armed Icemen of that federal government gunning down Americans. So this is the inversed speech. They say one thing and they do the other. There is Executive Order 14147 saying ending the weaponization of the federal government. Does that look like it? Come on, open your eyes. And this is what Donnie is showing with his hands, with the inversed pyramid. I mean, that means the inversed speech. On the first day in office, he says, we're going to end the weaponization of the federal government. And the next day, you see this going on. So he's showing with his hands to all his pals, don't listen to what I say. I just want the dumb slaves to believe this, that I'm going to end the weaponization of the federal government. I'm going to do the other side. So then he shows the triangle of death. And this is what it is, death. That's why they do this. So the best way, to treat it, what a politician is saying, take the opposite. Then you're nearest to the truth. And Donnie S.T.U.P.O, he just wants your consent for this here. And they just try to gain time until they are more prepared, even more than more prepared. And innocent civilians, as you can see here, are being held and tortured and murdered by the federal government. As the case, for example, of Irish citizen Seamus Colton, as you can hear for yourselves. In this video made in the Irish Parliament called Irish Citizens Tortured by ICE on channel Ivana Bacik. So she's a member of Parliament, Ivana Bacik, I think she is. Here it says in Gaelic, probably. Here's the video and the channel. Here you can read about it. Yeah. So already 250,000 people has seen this. Well, that's a nice publicity for America, isn't it? People are going to react, What do you think might happen to an American tourist now going to Ireland, eh? What do you think is going to happen? Think about that. There's even the construction of a huge forced labor concentration camp with 1,300 beds in Utah for homeless persons. Well, I don't know if this is the right picture. I don't think it is, but it looks all similar, and I still have this picture, so I just used it. The one I already had in the collage here. And this is another ICE camp, but you can look it up in the internet. I could have taken it, but I really don't want to waste very much more time on all this. You have to sort it out yourselves. So here you can see the Executive Order 14147 of January 20th, 2025, ending the weaponization of the federal government. And well, I'll let you read it yourself. But apparently, there were people protesting and they got hassled by the police and the authorities. And I guess, some fundamentalist Christians protested. So Donny made the Executive Order 14147 and also to have people vote for him and believe in him. And it says here, including those activities directed at parents protesting at school board meetings, Americans who spoke out against the previous administration's actions, and other Americans who simply exercises constitutionally protected rights. So people were protesting and they got hassled by the authorities. So Donny made this executive order. And then a year later, and even right the summer after it, 2025, people were protesting and they were all beaten up by ICE. And so you see, it's one lie after the other. Look, this is S.T.U.P.O's signature. And you can read it yourself, And this is the inversed speech of the inversed pyramid, as he is showing with his hands. So he's saying Executive Order 14147, we make everything nice. And with his hands, he shows the inversed pyramid. That means to his pals and of the same Per-A family, pharaohs, well, don't believe it, what I'm telling you. Don't believe Executive Order 14147 because I'm going to do the opposite. As we can all witness, the whole world can witness it, what ICE is doing. And it is international now. Maybe some Americans say, well, it's not your problem, it's our problem. No, it isn't. You're torturing Irish persons and German persons and people from Europe are in your concentration camps. No, it isn't a national thing. It is international. And we don't want it getting it over in Europe as the ICE were already in Italy. And thank God ICE didn't go to France. I tell you, they would have gotten serious beaten up if ICE would come to France. Oh, I tell you, don't come to France, ICE. Number 3, Executive Order 14149, restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship, which is another inversed pyramid, because Donny could have liberated the poor Julian Assange, incarcerated on US orders for the crimes of journalism and for exercising that very right to free speech and the First Amendment. So it says Executive Order 14149, freedom of speech and end federal censorship. So at that time, Donny, he was the president. He could have liberated the poor man who didn't do anything wrong. But instead of that, Biden liberated him. President Biden liberated Julian Assange. Probably because he knew, well, if Donny S.T.U.P.O becomes the president, this poor man, he will never get liberated. So before there was the Executive Order 14149, he already got liberated. So Donny can't say, well, I couldn't do it because the executive order of freedom of speech wasn't there yet. It's all inverse speech. They say one thing and they do the other. And most of all, they say just what the dumb slaves want to hear, So then they are quiet, and then they do the opposite. It's all inversed hand signs. That's all what it is, the inverse triangle of death. And they're even showing it, people. That's all what it is about. So here, Executive Order 14149, restoring freedom of speech. What do you mean, restoring? You mean there wasn't any freedom of speech before, and now all of a sudden there is? And ending federal censorship. You mean there was federal censorship? So you see, they're admitting that even that before there was no freedom of speech and there was censorship, federal censorship, that is. But it's not going to change anything. No. Here, January 20th, 2025. By, is his name here? By POTUS or S.T.U.P.O, as the anagram goes. Well, I stop reading them as they are all inversed psyops anyway. So here it says the book of inversed psyops. And this is the inversed stuff. This is what it means. So the above ground pyramid is what we see, whereas the inversed pyramid is under the ground and invisible, like the true meaning behind the inversed speech, or where the dead bodies are, under the ground. So here you see the normal pyramid, here's the inversed pyramid, which looks like this. This is the inverse pyramid, and here the normal pyramid. And this is why they do these hand signs and the inverse triangle of death on the concentration camps, etc., etc. The inversed pyramid stands both for death and for the inversed speech psyop. And when you believe the inversed speech, the direct consequence will be death anyway. So here you can see this here, what he's doing is this. And this here, what he says, is the opposite. That's this. This is visible, what he says, and the pyramid here. So you can draw a line here over in the middle of his body. And this is what he's telling his pals, the opposite, death, the inverse pyramid, which is this here on top. It's the other way around here, but it's a nice picture. And this is, of course, the pyramid, like here and like here. So his nose, we could say, is the pyramid here. This is how you can remember it. And here you got a red tie, for the OWO, the Red House of Pharaoh, in a white underground. So it says there constitutional monarchy, if you want, because he is of the nobility, as I've shown you. So remember this. This here is this, and it means death, and it means invisible. Here, it's underneath, it's underneath the belt, so to speak. In boxing, this is underneath the belt, and this is above the belt here. So don't listen what he says, because what he means is this here. And that's why he does this. Get it? So you see, they're all doing it. This is Donnie's second son by the name of Eric Trump. And he's also doing it. I mean, these are pharaonic bloodlines. It's, the Pera for Pharaoh, it means the big house. It's one big family, a house like in a royal house, like in a family. They're all the same here. So I repeat, this here, the inverse pyramid, is this. And above the belt is what they say. It's what you see. This is what the dumb slaves see, and this is what the dumb slaves hear. But under the belt is what you don't hear, but it's what Homie Ross is telling you is this here. And it's death. And it's this one here. And the other one above is this one. So don't forget this. This is a nice picture, actually, because this is how optically it's a good way to explain it to you. And this is what it really is, you know. If you look under the pyramids, there's this here, this one here, the inverse pyramid. And there's a lot of death going on there, and this is why. So they say this here, even he's doing it, they're all doing it. So why are you still believing them, you know? Why you only believe what is visible? You must start to believe what is not visible. You know, be spiritual, use your sixth sense, because all the other five senses, it just doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. It will just, there's one more after the other. Our children die, you know. They're completely destroying the earth and everything. Don't believe anymore what's visible here and here, the visible mouth, you know, the visible nice smile and MAGA and we are so friendly. No, start believing what is invisible, this here and this here. For most people, this is invisible, even if they see it, even if I'm telling you since the last 15 years, it's still invisible. Because most people forget it. The dumb slaves, they forget everything, you know. And they fall into this magic realm of these ones here, and the nice costumes, the nice ties, and a lot of money, and, you know, the whole propaganda and PR. People forget it every time. Now, what y'all tattling on inverse hamburgers and whatnot? It ain't nothing wrong, it's just Donnie's tight grip on a hamburger. So no passing by wetback can snap it on his way to jail, alligator, Alcatraz. Donnie's protective MAGA grip around the hamburger is like a warm nest for a good old birdie hamburger. Oh, God save America and the hamburger. Have you noticed how Donnie, since he's in office, he hasn't used the inverse speech of the inverted pyramid S.T.U.P.O anymore by saying MAGA, nor God. Since he's been elected, he doesn't need to sell that MAGA thing anymore, which was phase one, and in fact, he never says it anymore, as phase one is terminated. It has been terminated, thus entering phase two of the inverted pyramid, which is death. So there are two steps concerning the inverted pyramid method. Step one is inverted speech, and step two is the inverted death triangle. The master's agenda is still the same. Mix all peoples, advocate pink list killers, destroy masculinity, total control over humanity, and possibly install the Islam world religion, for which Americans have been made predispositioned, as they're all circumcised, making them half Muslims already.